This is Jack. Okay, so as everything became manifested on this planet, so did the gold. And the problem was when they realized that if this becomes so manifested, they won't have access here. They need a plan. And that's why Anu went to the Atlanteans. They said, listen, we're going to have a problem because everything's starting to manifest to such an extent that I'm certain one day we're not going to get access here. And it's giving us also an opportunity to exist infinitely. And of course the Atlanteans loved their planet because it's them. The planet was as them, was an expression of them, which was manifesting, and they weren't. They really thought that they would manifest. As well because they're off this planet and they couldn't understand it. And then the Atlanteans said, okay, you may manifest your plan. Let's see what you come up with, and then we'll take it into consideration again. Now for Anu, he knew, shit, fuck, he had a problem, because he needs gold. If he doesn't have gold, he can't exist. And it's going to be a problem because he exists interdimensionally, not easily manifested. If the gold's manifested, he needs to manifest his city here on Earth. He has to survive. And for him, he'll do whatever it takes. But it's interesting because it was more about him than anything else. He knew he needed gold to exist, because gold, they believed gold was that which gave them the ability to exist, to shapeshift, to be, is what they are, is from gold. They get from gold. If they don't have gold, they're nothing. They're worthless. They die. And so, okay, now you're probably asking where the human form comes from. Let's go there. The Atlanteans. The Atlanteans had a very fascinating form, which is almost like the human form, though taller, much taller, slender. Both male and female was reasonably slender. In expression, they had feet. They had their hands. They were beautiful. They were really beautiful beings, magnificent, flawless, perfect. It's those beings which you see in one moment. Imagine, I'm certain, I just have to put this in to kind of explain to you. I'm certain men see women sometimes. Now this is even for men, this experience, when I've seen males there, in terms of the Atlanteans expression. If you see a woman walking and you just look at her and you're just like, and everything stops for a moment, and all that exists in that moment is that woman walking there. Something like that. I'm sure many men have experienced that. They just can't take their eyes off a woman. And you're just, it's like hypnotized to a certain extent. Like you're under some spell. That's what I experienced when looking at the Atlanteans. And it's not that I see the male or female per se, it was just their presence. It was just beautiful. You know, their movement. It was sound. Imagine a manifested sound movement, the flow of it, the sound is their voices that they're communicating in, their expression. And yeah, so enough of that. I just remember that. So the physical human form came from the Atlanteans form. The Atlanteans, and then there was also another planet. The shape, I'd say, comes from the Atlanteans, though the stability, shape, the more fine-tuning of it came from another planet. And because they realized they needed a comfortable form in which they move comfortably, easily, because they realized they required to develop a vessel, a type of a vessel that will sustain them on this earth. Now the plan was to basically just form this vessel, be able to come into it and move around, and oh god, it's almost just like a portal. Like move into it and then, you know, do what is necessary to be done and then move out again. But that also wouldn't work because the gold was starting to actually manifest, and it's not going to work if they take the gold from here into dimensionally, because it just won't work. And so I just said, okay, I'll deal with that later. Let me just focus on designing a vessel, a form of sorts. And that's where Enki and Enlil comes in. Now, Enlil was more developed in designing the, let's call it, for instance, what was exactly required for this physical vessel to be sustained on this manifested planet. And, you know, for instance, the hairs you have on your physical body, what it does, your eyes, your eyelids, your things like that, hair. Okay, in terms of the actual male manifestation, like the vagina and the penis, didn't exist yet. Firstly, it was merely really just very straight manifestations. It wasn't, you didn't see like the elbow. It was basically straight. Yet it was able to move. It was one movement. You didn't have this little knob there. The hands were also very straight, very strong, bigger actually than the physical manifestation. The head was just a normal round head. You had eyes, of course. Okay, I'll continue in my next interview. Thanks.